27-yard line.
Good afternoon, Roosevelt fans. Welcome to the Alabama pregame festivities with your USM Spirit from San Antonio this week. Here in San Antonio, under the direction of UTSA Director of Band and the Director of the Spirit of San Antonio, Professor Ron Allen, under the Field Director Assistant Coach.
Hey, welcome back, Roadrunners, to the Lit Medallion. Sunday after USM, close loss for USM, not for us, thank goodness. What were you thinking midway through the third quarter when the game was tied? You know what I was thinking? Well, this just isn't our day. Nothing we were doing felt right. Nothing we did great felt like it yielded great results, even though it was still 17-all. The big turning point in the game, Frank Gore Jr. going down and not coming back into the game. I really think that was a very big contributing factor for our defense to, I don't want to say settle down, because they were pretty settled down, but man, if you look at his stats, he had 33 yards passing and 124 yards rushing. The team only had 189 yards total yards. That's it. He was everything they were doing. He's a fantastic football player. It's a shame that he appeared to get injured. He went off limping and didn't see him come back in the game. So I hope he's okay, because college football needs players like that. Magical players like that make this sport wonderful. So now I'm done giving praises to one particular player for USM, but I'm going to give the entire USM team praises. They came out with their 8th different combination, from what I understand, at quarterback. They took it to us. For only getting 189 yards, they took it to us. When they needed those first downs, they got them. When they needed stops, they got them. They got a pick six. They got another interception. The pick six wasn't really Frank's fault. He kind of threw it a little late, I think, but it was still a great play because it was a really high thrown ball, and the DB just made a great play. The first pick, though, Frank just completely underthrew it. Frank was off. Maybe Southern Miss got him off, right? You got to give him credit. So my voice is killing me because the Dome is probably the best home field advantage any university has in college football. It is insanely loud in there. We had 30,000. That's the first time we've been over 30,000 in quite a long time. And USM brought their small share of fans, probably mostly parents and family, right? Traveled all the way from Mississippi. But I want to give them a shout out because you know what? There were more of them than there were of Rice. I live 3 miles from Rice University. I can make the drive. You mean to tell me they can't gather 100 students to show up to make that drive for their football team? Yeah, I know their football team's not that good, but come on. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes straight down I-10, 37 north, and you're there. 3 hours. 3 hours max, nonstop. Yeah, max. They came from Southern Miss, right? Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Pretty far away. Well, anyway, so that's enough about that. Kudos to USM. They played a fantastic football game. Now let's talk about UTSA. So I'm lucky enough to have some really fantastic seats. So every time we get a turnover, they come and they ring that bell, the Triangle of Toughness bell. I'm going to put some of those videos. I'll either put them before this video or after this video, the 2 turnovers that we got where they ring the bell. And that's always fantastic. They come over. And it's fun to watch them ring that bell. And that bell's got that dinner bell, right? It's a triangle dinner bell. So it's kind of cool. You'll see it. I think I've shared it before, but got 2 this time. It was great to see Corey Mayfield Jr. create the second turnover. And with getting in some late pressure on the QB, forcing a fumble. That was great to see. That was awesome to see for him because he's worked really hard. He's been a very solid football player for his entire career, and he had a pretty good game. If you look at his stats, I'm gonna let you guys look up his stats. He had a couple tackles for loss, a couple solo tackles, that kind of fun stuff. So nothing spectacular, but worth mentioning, right? Now, let's talk about our deficiencies. And I'm going to say it again. You can't ignore in victory what you wouldn't ignore in defeat. We had second and goal, third and goal, and then we had fourth and goal from inside the one. And I really think a lack of a jumbo package setup or not calling a jumbo package probably burned us in that situation. Luckily, our defense ended up making the stop because they stopped us. We didn't get any points. I would have taken the points personally, kicked the field goal, but I think the coach kind of wanted to take the will out of Southern Miss. But I don't think the will went out of Southern Miss until we, like I said, midway through the third quarter, and then that's when we made it 27 to 17. And we were down on the one inside of a minute, and we knelt on the ball. We could have added style points. Style points, I get it. You want to show that you can win convincingly, but there's a way to win convincingly, and there's just bogus style points. That'd have been bogus style points. That'd have been a lack of class. There's a state trooper that posted on one of our Facebook message boards talking about how loud it was and how Coach Traylor, put it kneeling on the ball, really put him up in his stature of classy coaches. And, when I sent him a message, I said, hey, so did I read Coach's lips properly when he said something about fantastic job in regards to what Southern Miss did and the way they played? And his response was, I can't tell you what it was. I'm not supposed to, but it was very complimentary of our team. So basically without saying yes, he basically said yes, right? I mean, and that's great to see. You want to see sportsmanship. You want to see competitors compete. So the Dome being loud really worked in our favor. They had, and I'm going to pull this up. Now we're going to read the stats here, and this is what you guys got to read. They had 189 total yards, 88 penalty yards. They couldn't get the snap off. They were false starting. We were loud, right? They passed 7 times. They really out-armied, out-navied, Navy. They really did. They kept the ball 37 minutes and 14 seconds of that game. With those little stats, you would never expect. And it wasn't like they were taking their time snapping the ball. Don't get me wrong. But let me see if I can see the total plays. I don't see the total plays here. But we only had the ball 22 minutes offensively. So let me go back to the box score and see if I can't see the total plays here really quick. Recap. Maybe that'll give me total plays. Recap. Nope. Where is it at? Team stats. Here we go. Hey, why not I seeing the total plays? But trust me, they had the ball a lot. They ran a lot of plays. They dinked and dunked with the running game. And our defense was struggling a little bit. But right about the start of the fourth quarter, halfway through the third quarter, we started hitting a little harder when the shots were able to be made, right? And that really helped. I really think that started taking its toll on Southern Miss. I think that they're depleted. They had injuries. One thing that people discount, and FIU dealt with this one year, is when you play teams like Alabama, you play teams like Georgia, you play teams like Oklahoma, Ohio State, and you're a FBS school, you're a G5, not a P5. Their team's loaded with kids as big as your biggest kid. They're loaded with them. So they just hit a little harder. And you get injuries. And those $1.5 million paydays can prove costly. FIU actually called a game for safety reasons because they had already lost like 7 guys in one game against Alabama a few years back. Now, look, Southern Miss isn't going to make any excuses. They don't play like a team that makes excuses, right? They played hard, and congrats to them. Now let's go further down into the stats. We had 370 total yards, there 189. Mind you, they got backed up 88 yards. We had 4 penalties for 45 yards. So we had a couple personal foul penalties right in there. We rushed for 143 yards. They rushed for 137. Frank Gore Jr., before he went out, I'm going to read his stats. This is incredible. He passed for 33 yards. 33 of their 52 yards passing. Think about it. And he rushed for 123 of their 137 yards. He was their entire offense. He really was. Frank Harris, 30.5 QBR rating. He was just inaccurate. But surprisingly, when you look at his stats, 17 of 30, yeah, that's not great, but he's still 227. 2 TDs, he just threw those 2 interceptions, right? And so that really killed his stats. Sincere McCormick, 19 carries for 90 yards. You're close to a, 100-yard game. Frank Harris, 54 yards. What I would have liked to have seen Frank Harris do, and this was another thing. It's another critique. You can't ignore it, right? It's a critique. I would have liked to have seen him pull it a little bit more, and because he did it a couple times, and when he did it those couple times, he got some pretty good yardage. That's when we scored, right? And I think it just does something to the opposing defenses that forces them to do it. And I would also have liked to have seen more downhill running, even though we do the RPO, right? I would have liked to have seen us do a little bit more downhill running versus kind of trying to go wide with it. Southern Miss, I think, might have surprised us with their speed. They were pretty fast. They're one of the few teams that I felt like their running backs could outrun our DBs, right? And that we've played so far this year. We got to button those things up. Now, like I said, we had very few penalties. That was great. UTSA didn't really look themselves. Give credit to Southern Miss for making that happen, though. We'll see. Maybe UTSA didn't expect the offense that they brought in, and maybe they were looking past. So now here's what happens. This is it. This is Conference USA, Western Division in a nutshell. Next Saturday. Whoever wins that game wins the Western Division. It's just how it's going to be, unless UAB loses their last home game of the year and we win our last home game. If they beat us, right, then they'll still have 2 losses. We'll only have 1. But if we win next week, we seal the Western Division regardless of what happens against UNT last game of the year. So we've got to bring it again, Roadrunners. Rest your vocal cords. You can hear mine. I mean, I was popping halls from my throat like nobody's business to keep it repaired. And, yeah, it was one of those games to where you just shook your head. Now I got to give a shout out. Mr. Robert, you know who you are. I told you I'd roast you a little bit. You finally show up to a game, and this is the game we get? Really? Really? You haven't been able to make a game all season. You've come there, and you gave me a game that's all a heart attack. Ooh, don't do that to us anymore. No, seriously, Robert, it was great to see you and Habeen and Irene. It was great to have you guys in the Dome again. It was exciting. All you can ask for is exciting football games. Wins, but exciting football games too, right? Can't wait to see you again the following week, and I hope you get a chuckle whenever you see the end of this video because we talked about it, right? Anyway, take care, Roadrunner fans. I'll see you Saturday. I'll do a couple more videos the rest of the week, but let's pack the Dome and let's be even louder than we were. Let's get that 36,000 people in the Dome. Let's go, Roadrunners.